This is the Hutch that literally took me forever to finish and forever to edit and just be done with it. I started this about 6 months ago, started it, left it. I painted it one color, as you can see here, this blue and gray, and this is the bottom half of this Hutch, by the way, and then I just left it. Have you ever had anything like that happen to you? Midway through, I decided that I didn't like the color, the blue and the gray, and so I went ahead and stopped and did everything else but this. I don't know if you've had anything like this happen to you when you started on a project. Please let me know. Put it in the comments. So the color I chose is yellow. It's warm, it's colorful, and so I did the yellow over the bottom half of this Hutch, and I thought it was a much better fit. So we're going to do a couple of coats of this yellow, which is called Queen Bee, and I really like it. We're going to blend some whites, and I'm all about blending different colors just to give everything a little bit more depth. You can do this with any colors that you choose, and actually the blue was a really good base for the yellow above. So we're going to just add some white over the yellow, and then later on we might add just a few more colors. There are many different ways of blending. People do it in a whole bunch of different ways. The way I do it is my base paint is still a little bit wet, and then I just grab the color that I'm blending with and I add that on. You can also, if your paint is dry, your base paint, you can get it to work again by just spritzing a little bit of water and then putting on the top color, and it'll just blend in nicely. The fun part starts when you start adding things. So I just grab a paint stirrer, and with the tip of it just kind of added some white to the edges of this door, and I will keep adding things onto this dresser, as you'll see as time goes on. Now for the paint inlay. This is the side of the Hutch, and the paint inlay, this is called Rose Chintz. It's from Iron Orchid Design. You will put this paint inlay paper on the wet paint. The paint has to be wet. You're going to spritz it. Once it's completely dry, you'll spritz it again, and then you'll pull it up, and the image should be left on your surface. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is the top of this Hutch did not have a back, so we cut some wood to fit the back, and now I'm painting it white. My thought was that I wanted to, instead of using wallpaper like some people do, is use some of the decoupage papers that I have here in the shop. So after I painted this white, the wood white, I'm going to add some Mod Podge and start gluing on the paper. And this is paper is from Recycle that is on my website. I have a lot of different ones, and this is the one that I chose because I thought I wanted yellow on the outside of the Hutch and I wanted white on the inside, so that if you place things in the Hutch, it would just be sort of like you could see what was in the Hutch and the back of it, and not take all of the attention. But as you can see later on, as it happens usually with me, I end up changing my mind about things and I do it a little bit different. So when you're doing Mod Podge with decoupage paper, the one thing that I do have to say, if you're going to use a big piece of paper, like this one right here, you want to work in sections. So you want to put that glue down, the Mod Podge, in sections. If you glue the whole section where your paper is going to be on, by the time you get your paper on there, it'll be dry and you will get a lot of air bubbles. Another thing that people do is sort of spritz the paper a little bit to make it a little bit wet, which helps with the wrinkles. I myself like a little bit of wrinkles because I think it gives it like that old worn vintagey look, so I don't mind wrinkles so much. I don't like a lot of wrinkles, like who does, but a little bit is okay. So I worked in sections. Now it's time time to paint the top of the hutch, and I'm using this beautiful turquoise color. I believe it's mermaid tail, and I'm also going to add this turquoise to the bottom and the sides of this hutch. So it's all going to be cohesive, and it's going to blend, and it's going to look pretty good, I think. And yeah, it's going to be one colorful hutch. So time to make the top look like the bottom, and we're going to add a little bit of the same yellow, which is the queen bee. I also did use cake batter, which is a different yellow, to the top of this hutch, and I'm using a brayer to kind of just spread it. So I don't want it to be all even and smooth. I want this hutch to look like it's been around for a little while. I also did play with a little bit of pink, and you know, I added it here and there. I like to try different things, because what's the worst that could happen, really? You add a color, you don't like it, you paint over it. You know, just like that. It's just, sometimes when you add different things and you're not sure, if you just happen to have a happy little accident, right? Like Bob Ross says, and you'll be amazed at what you did in the end. Okay, so now it's time to work on the side of the hutch, and since it's already painted with the turquoise and yellow, I'm going to use an Artistic Painting Studio roller, which we also carry in the shop. It's called Artsy Leaf, and I just put some purple on there, and then I just rolled it. These are great also for walls. So much fun. So now back to the inside of the hutch where we put the decoupage paper. I decided that I wanted to blend some paint to make it cohesive. I always like to blend paint onto my paper so it doesn't look like I just stuck paper on something. And I decided that I would do the yellow, the queen bee again, because again, even though I add lots of colors, I always want them to seem like they go together. So I did add yellow, also some green, as you can see here. I did tear the paper. I like torn paper, just to let you know. It just looks more like an older vintage hutch to me with the torn paper, but I did blend in the paint so it all goes well. Also, I did keep mixing some paint with the salt wash and just adding it on with my finger, and basically just adding colors and the textures with, you know, the salt wash and things like that onto the hutch where I thought it needed it. Okay, so now that the outside is pretty much done, I decided that I wanted to add another decoupage paper on top of the one that I already have there and kind of make them go together. So I took this one here and I cut half of it. I really just wanted the birds. I didn't want the bunnies. Sorry, bunnies. And I cut out the birds and the flowers, and I Mod Podged those on top of the existing decoupage paper and also onto the paint that I blended. I did tear these. I like to tear paper. It's really fun tearing paper, you guys, but also I like the torn look that it has, which is, it's perfectly perfect to me. Spritz it a little bit just to get it. Actually, you can spritz it to tear, but also spritz it to, when you put it on your surface, you get less wrinkles. So, yes, so paper on top of paper, you can definitely do it. It's like blending paint, mixing colors. Same thing, you're blending papers. Okay, you guys, the very last thing to do is just to seal it, and I use clear wax and dark wax, mixing it all along, also with wet wax. And that's it. I hope you join me for the next video. Thank you for watching.